Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to change the time belt on the Mk1 Golf. So I'm no expert, I've never changed a time belt before, but I'm going to give it a go. So I've watched a series of YouTube videos by a fellow YouTuber called PJ's Mk1 Golf. Link in the description down below to his videos. They're very informative, very direct tutorials on how to change it. So I'm going to use his videos as my tutorial to change the time belt. So let's go. Okay, so I'm here now underneath the car, and we're going to find the timing crankshaft and find where top dead center is. So first of all, okay, so here's the crankshaft. I have to put a piece of paint onto it because I couldn't find where the mark was. So you can see the mark just here, and just a bit of red paint here on the outside, just when I'm turning around it, it'd be easier to see. But you can see just a little notch just there, so just there's a bit of silver paint in it, and then there's a red mark just behind it. So when I turn it around, it'll be easier to see at the top. Paint to the outside as well, just be easier to see just because of that reference. Okay, so let's turn this around from bottom dead center to top dead center and see if it all lines up. Also on my one, instead of having a triple square, it just has an ordinary nut. It's very rusty in there, but it's an ordinary nut and it's size 19. So we're going to put a 19 onto it. Our marks are at the bottom here, and we're going to spin them around so they're at the top. Okay, so they're kind of getting closer to the top, and there's a mark in the plastic cover here at the top. I have to go up on top to actually see it, and we're going to try to line the two of them up. That's what the red paint is on the top. It's just as a reference, so when I'm turning it, I'll just have an idea where the little line is, because it's on the inside, not the outside, so it's very hard to see. Okay, so here we are on top. You can see the line is just there in the crankshaft, and on the crankshaft case, it's about probably where that line is there, but on the actual plastic, it's nearly impossible to see. There we are. You can see where the line is now. Just there, and this is where the crankshaft line is, so we just have to bring that over to this bit here. Okay, I might have overshot it, but I'll pull it back. Okay, you can see that the two of them now are in line. Very difficult to see it, but they are. Now we're going to take off this side cover here and check that we're at TDC as well. Next we're going to undo this nut here, and then two at the top. Okay, and this is the mark here. So I've just moved the crankshaft on a little bit more, just so it'd be more visible for this line here. So this is the top of the cam, and we're going to, obviously, I've moved it on, so we're just going to move the crank back. And that'll bring, where's it gone? This little line here back down, and it'll be level here with the rocker cover. Okay, we're going to do that next. Okay, now you can see there's a dot on the crankshaft pulley, and there's a white mark on the little arrow on the case, and the two of them are lining up. Very difficult to see, but it is there. Now on the rocker cover pulley, you can see I have a little bit of white Tipex there on the pulley. So that lines up flat with the rocker cover gasket or the rocker cover housing. So that is now correct. And we can pull this one here off. I've undone the bolts already. No, we can't. We have to undo the... Now I'm just going to undo the nut. It's, I think that's 6mm. The little Allen key one. That's there removed. And then this whole piece here should come off. There we go. Take it down. Okay, I painted it, and you can see that just at the very top there, there's a little groove and the white Tipex in it, and a little bit of red paint there just to show when it's coming up, not to miss it. But yeah, it's a bit difficult to see. There you go, a little bit of white Tipex. So that's on the pulley, on the crankshaft pulley. Now we get to the cover. And you can see I put a little bit of white Tipex on the arrow. So the arrow points down. So there is a nut holding on there, nut holding it on there, which isn't on mine. And I think there's one up here, there. A nut holding it on there, that's on the water pump. And then one at the very top as well. So I only have the one at the very top. and you can see that it's making grooves in the cover, but it's not the end of the world. Maybe I might just try and get a washer or something there and kind of lock it in place so it doesn't like rattle in and out. But yeah, so that's now lined up. Don't need that for a second. And now we're going to look at the timing mark. So you can see I have Tipex on it as well, and that's for the distributor. So when we line everything up, that should be pointing over here. I've just no room, the tires in the way, so I can't really get the camera over there. But everything is lined up, and we'll have a look at probably the other stuff to look at as well. Now we've removed the bung, and you can see the hole off down here, and that's into the gearbox, and we're going to check for TDC. Okay, it's nearly impossible to show it, but there is a dot down there inside the hole of the flywheel, and that's also showing TDC. Okay, and it's way off down there somewhere. There. Next, remove the distributor, so we know the sprocket on this side of the crankshaft is actually in line, so we're just going to check it to make sure that is actually correct as well. We have the two clips removed on either side. We know that forward pointing out this way, so when we put it back, we know to put it back the correct way. And we can just get this out of the way. Okay. So this is the rotor. The vacuum is here. I just removed it. When the vacuum comes in, it sets the advance or the retard for the distributor. So we can look down at the very back of it, if there wasn't a million wires. So you can see down there there's a little line, and it matches up to this little bit of orange just here at my fingertip. So you can see that they're both in line. So that means now that the rotor is also in TDC. So that's ready for cylinder 1. So I assume that's right anyway. Yeah, it's it's difficult to see. Like depends which side I put the camera on. It doesn't look like it's in line, but it is in line. So all I need to know is have those two lined up, the one over here on top of the gearbox lined up, cylinder head and everything else in TDC. So we're going to change time belt now we know that everything is correct, and see how we go on. Okay, and here we have the time belt kit. So it's an INA kit, so apparently they're very good kits, or very good belt. We have the time belt, great, and we probably have something underneath it. Okay, new idler wheel, brilliant, and bolt nut and a washer, a spring wash, whatever it is. Okay, we'll use them again, so that's great. So let's install the kit now and see how we get on. Okay, so as you can tell, I haven't done this before. This is my first time doing a time belt. So what I've done is I've marked off the top of the camshaft there and put a little dot also on the piece of metal, so they're actually level. It's very hard to actually show it that they're level, but they are level. And then on the cam and on the idler wheel here for the distributor, I just put a little tiny bit of Tipex just between the two of them. I just kind of ignored the actual line here and just put a piece of Tipex between the two of them. But I also know that when I'm putting the belt on it, I just keep those two little lines lined up. But as well as that, I've also done all the other checks, make sure that everything else is in line, and I have a video of it. So yeah, hopefully it'll all go well. So now I'm about to get 13 and undo that nut. But first, let me just check something. So the belt, I can nearly push it flat this way. I can nearly push it flat backwards. And there's a small little bit of give in it. So I just know when to put it back to give it a little bit of tension like that. So it obviously doesn't go all the way around, but say 45 degrees is what it's going to have. Okay, let's undo it because I haven't done this before, so I'm kind of nervous. So yeah, let's see how we get on. So yeah, I think I've done literally every other check that I can possibly think of. Okay, let's do this. Okay, nope, it's a 15, not a 13. So that's the only difference really between the GTI and anything else. So yeah, if I release it now, I have a way of tightening it afterwards. I think I will. Okay, let's just go for it. Oh, that's tight. Okay, so put plenty of torque into it. That's after releasing. And okay, time belt is officially untimed or off. Right, undo the nut. There's that little washer behind it. The idler wheel is now coming off. Okay, idler wheel off. Yeah, it probably was time to change it anyway. Okay, I'll come back to you when I have more done. Okay, so I have the old and new belt. They look the same length. Just did a quick calculation. I think they're the same. And obviously the old one has no writing left on it, but you can see all the little tiny teeth, say like on the opposite side. They're all starting to show, so that is time to start changing the belt, where obviously the new one, you can't see any of the teeth. So, about to install it now. So, doing all my checks again. They're both in line. And just down here at the very bottom, you can see I have a little bit of Tipex between the two of these here. You can kind of see it there. Maybe you can't. There. So that means the crank and the distributor wheel haven't moved, and the rocker cover, or the valves at the top, haven't moved because they are both in line as well. Great. Now time to install the time belt and do a final check again. I know I'm probably over checking all the time marks, but this is my first time ever to do this, so bear with me. Okay, so I have these, oh shit, okay, move slightly. So I have these two, and then running it up onto the cam and making sure there's no slack between this one and this one. Okay, that's now the old time belt off. The new one has been installed. I've turned the engine over about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times just with the ratchet. It's very easy to turn it over. We check our timing marks, still timed up there. We check down here, and you can see, where are they gone? There, you can see the two marks are still lining up. We check the distributor, and we can see they're actually lined up. It's nearly impossible to see it unless you're actually here in person. And inside the transmission, on the flywheel, you can see the dot is lined up as well. So that's that now, all done. So I'm going to tighten up the nut now, the 15mm nut, up to about 4 uggas, and then start the engine. But still have to put everything else back. Nearly forgot to check the tension on the belt. So it's about the same, about 45 degrees in each direction. And a bit of flex going that way as well. There's not going to be as much as the previous belt, because obviously this is a new belt and that one's an old one. But for the amount of flex there, it's about 45 degrees in each direction, or nearly flat. So yeah, very happy with that. Okay, so I've turned the engine over by hand a few times using the ratchet. So most importantly is to remove the ratchet, isn't that right, Ross? So you don't ever want to leave your tools down there when you're about to crank over the engine. So the ratchet has been removed. Now it's just a case of just putting everything else back. Okay, so I have the new water pump on, time belt, I have a rocker cover gasket. I didn't show it in the video, but it's just basically just lift it off, put the new one on, put it back together again. It's nothing amazing. So now I filled it with water, so I'm going to test it, and afterwards I'll drain it all out. I just want to make sure that it's actually holding water rather than putting the fluid into it. So let's start it up and see how we get on. Okay, now the timing cover back on. I have everything ready to go. So let's give it a start up and see if it starts. So first go, let's start it and see if it starts. All the warning lights on. Hey, it started! Okay, absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So that means that my timing of everything is correct. It actually sounds pretty good. The little rattle there, that's just the timing cover. Bottom did not tighten up, but yeah, very happy with that. So for a complete novice who's never done a timing belt before, I'm delighted that actually worked really well. So I checked it a million times to make sure that everything was right before starting it. Hand cranked it over, I don't know how many times. But anyway, everything is right and it starts and it's running perfectly, so I'm delighted with that. So thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe over there. Yeah, first time doing it, and I'm no expert, but I'm absolutely delighted that it works. So guys, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe. I'll see you next time.